Good evening and welcome to a program devoted entirely to Lefties Losing It. The Oscars were on today, so we're going to be bringing you the best and worst of Hollywood's Night of Nights, but let's start Lefties Losing It with our favourite little Swedish doom goblin, Greta Thunberg. And here we have the gal who set records for truancy, showing incredible range. Not only is she an expert on catastrophic climate change and the Middle East, but her geopolitical expertise extends to Cuba. And of course, the country's many woes are not the fault of the communist government. It's all Donald Trump's fault.
We need to talk about what's happening in Cuba right now. As the Trump administration is waging illegitimate wars across the world, killing countless of people, it is also strangling the Cuban people, deliberately, methodically, and openly. The pedophile Trump himself bragged about it, saying, "There's an embargo, there is no oil, there's no money, there's no anything." He said it like it was something to be proud of.
What did that little Chucky doll lookalike call President Trump? I do hope he sues her for whatever ill-gotten gains she may have. And Greta was not done lecturing us about Cuba. She seems to think that she knows better than Cubans what is good for Cubans. She does not say a single word to condemn the brutal communist dictators or the reason why more than 1 million Cubans have fled their own country. It's all America's fault.
Cuba stood up for the world, and now it is time for the world to stand up for Cuba. And I'm asking all of you, every friend of peace, every defender of the right of peoples to determine their own futures, to join. Wherever you are in the world, go to your local US embassy and make your voice heard. The people in power do not act unless we compel them to. And so now we compel them.
What an odious little troll she is. Now to the Oscars, and I'm sure you're just dying to hear some virtue signalling. Here is the team behind the voice of Hein Rajab with this incoherent diatribe.
We're demanding a permanent ceasefire because there is no ceasefire right now. There are bombings happening to this day, destruction, displacements all over the world. You know, in Palestine, in Lebanon, in Iran, in Venezuela, and everywhere. And this is
happening in the U.S. ICE.
Well, yes. So this is a demand for a permanent ceasefire.
ICE have to implement a ceasefire, and they want one also in Iran, just as the regime is about to fall. I mean, how sadistic of them to want to oppress the Iranian people. Let's hear more from this genius trio.
What's happening with ICE, Minneapolis, Gaza, everywhere, it's all connected. And we are all the same, we are all human, and hatred is a cancer. And people should open their hearts.
Stupidity is also a cancer. And how about opening your hearts to the plight of the Iranian people? You know, there's a reason they are literally dancing in the streets over the Ayatollah being killed, over the regime being systematically weakened. It's because they would rather risk death than live under Islamist rule. Let's now hear from the host of the Oscars, Conan O'Brien, who had this little pointed joke.
First time since 2012 that there are no British actors nominated for Best Actor or Best Actress. Yeah. British spokesperson said, yeah, well, at least we arrest our pedophiles. So we got that going for us.
Not bad, but the arrests in the UK have not been about pedophilia or mistreatment of women, but about allegations of misconduct in public office. Anyway, we can't expect actors to be aware of little things like facts. Now, there were some bright moments at the Oscars, some genuine funny moments, including this from actress Anne Hathaway and Anna Wintour.
Anna, just curious, what do you think of my dress tonight?
And the nominees are?
Very well done. You need to have watched The Devil Wears Prada to appreciate the comedy there. And this from Sigourney Weaver was also superb.
Get away from him, you
Wow, good character recall. I peed myself a little.
Why is Pedro Pascal ruining it by talking needlessly? Let the ladies cook, but if the Oscars wanted to be actually entertaining for the whole thing, then they should throw millions at Ricky Gervais to host. You remember his superb work at the Golden Globes. If they can't get him over the line, then Jimmy Carr would also be a brilliant option. Here is a taste of his work. Here he explains why he doesn't dare mock Islam.
Now, we are a little bit tight for time, so I probably can't do my Islamic bit. Well, obviously, I'm not going to be telling the same jokes about Muhammad. I'd feel very comfortable telling about Jesus Christ. And that's because, fun fact, I'm not an idiot. So if you're a Christian and you're sat there thinking, well, that's not fair. He makes jokes about Christians all day long, but he won't make the same sort of jokes about Muslims. Well, then maybe, as a Christian, you should think about blowing something up. Hey? No one's scared of you. What are the Christians going to do? Forgive me.
Yes, unlike the late-night TV comics in the US, who seem to be the front-runners to host Oscars and Golden Globes every year, Jimmy Carr is actually funny. Now to DC, where US Attorney for the District of Columbia, Jeanine Pirro, put a leftist journalist in his place. This is a thing of beauty.
Grand jurors are so skeptical of the cases that your office has been brought.
Oh, cut it out. Do you know how many convictions we've got? Cut it out. You're in one lane. We have cleaned up this city. Yeah, historic, really? I'll tell you what's historic. What's historic is that I prosecute everything other than 10% of the cases, where the United States Attorney before me didn't prosecute 67% of the cases. That's what's historic. I'm willing to take a not guilty. I'm willing to take a no true bill, because I'll take all the crimes and put them in. Thank you.
Thank you. That's all the time we have.
In the US, you spend your entire working life paying into Medicare on the promise that when you retire, you get covered. What nobody told you, though, is that there are thousands of Medicare plans available, but the broker who handled your enrolment could only show you a fraction of them. The carriers, they get paid by. That's how the industry works. This means you could be enrolled in a plan that doesn't actually cover your specific doctors or those expensive prescriptions. So I've partnered with Chapter, the only national advisor that compares every plan available. Historically, seniors who call Chapter have saved on average $1,100 on annual healthcare costs. It's a free 20-minute call to get transparency. If you're on Medicare or turning 65, don't settle for the standard runaround. Call Chapter at 516-986-2554. That's 516-986-2554. 2554 or visit askchapter.org/Rita. Talk to a real person and get the facts for free. And we touched on the Oscars and mindless, feckless celebrity virtue signalling last night, but let's get into the nitty-gritty tonight with the worst of the worst, starting with the tiresome, self-delighted professional victim, Jimmy Kimmel.
As you know, there are some countries whose leaders don't support free speech. I'm not at liberty to say which. Let's just leave it at North Korea and CBS. Fortunately,
yes, it is the painfully unfunny Jimmy Kimmel again pretending he is a victim like the downtrodden folk of North Korea. He's still carrying on about being censored in Trump's America, even as he criticises Trump in every single program and appearance. And a reminder, he was suspended for less than a week because he lied, deliberately and shamelessly lied about Charlie Kirk's killer. As for CBS's decision to axe Stephen Colbert, well, that had nothing to do with free speech and everything to do with his awful ratings. Now, let's check in on the eternally wrong about everything Jane Fonda and see if you can keep up with this diatribe.
You know, that's why Hegseth said, the Secretary of Defense, he said we can't have, CNN can't come soon enough to be under the control of Paramount because we know that Trump wants to hurt. I mean, I slept with the guy that created it.
You did?
I have a personal stake in it.
what? And why is she glitching like that? Seriously, does she think sleeping with a media tycoon gives her some deep insight? Let's see if the rest of this rant is a little bit more coherent.
And the days of Mr. Turner creating CNN to be the news source, the trusted news source.
Trusted. It did not take positions. It reported the news and to see what's happening. And so we have to stop. No, I did have many conversations with Ted Sarandos about it because he and I are friends.
Forget about Hanoi Jane. I hereby dub her Jane Biden. Yes, she's got the Bidens about her. Now get ready to really turn up the stupid because we're about to hear from Patricia Arquette, the woman who once tweeted, "Kick Russia out of NATO." Seriously, she did do that. She deleted it, but only after she was mocked mercilessly. Now the actress is claiming that the trans community in America is under attack.
You know, right now we're looking at a real attack on the trans community. We're seeing people lose their driver's license suddenly with no way to get to even the DMV. We're seeing people not allowed to go to the bathroom, even though they clearly present, you know, the way that they are, who they are, but they're forcing them to go to the bathroom in the non-corresponding bathrooms. We're seeing people having to flee the country.
She really is desperate for men to be in women's bathrooms, isn't she? What a bizarre hill to die on, the rejection of biological reality. Now to the rejection of logic and decency. Here is Javier Bardem.
No to war and free Palestine.
Saying no to the war against the Iranian regime just as they're on their knees and close to defeat. Shameful antics from Javier, who was there to present the Best International Feature Film. One of the directors nominated in that category this year was Iranian filmmaker Jafar Panahi, no relation. Now, Panahi is facing imprisonment and worse if he returns to Iran. He was luckily out of the country late last year when he was sentenced to prison for what Iranian government called propaganda activities against the regime. But you've got Javier calling for an end to the war against that regime. It just shows a breathtaking level of ignorance. And if you think I'm being too harsh and he was just making a general statement against war in all regions across the world, then listen to this. He was talking about Iran.
With another illegal war created by Trump and Netanyahu in order with another lie, which is like to defeat the regime, but they are radicalizing the regime by their horrific actions. So that's not the reason.
Trump is radicalising the Iranian regime. Is he dumb or lying? Because I don't see too many other options at this point. And wasn't it interesting that Javier, along with the rest of the Hollywood elite, said nothing about the plight of the Iranian people? Tens of thousands of whom were just slaughtered this year by the Iranian regime. We didn't hear much about that on the night, did we? We did hear from One Piece actress Charithra Chandran, who seems to have missed the news that the war in Gaza is actually over and that a ceasefire has been in place now for months.
It's an artist for ceasefire pen, and what we are demanding is a ceasefire in Gaza. And I think that I am so blessed to have a platform, and this is the least I can do to use it. And like sometimes the news cycle is so fast and people move on.
Oh, you're right. The news cycle does move fast, love, but there's been a ceasefire in Gaza since October 10. That's more than 5 months ago. Do keep up. The sad reality is that actors, celebrities in general, are far dumber than your lowest expectations. But that thickness often comes with enormous amounts of ego. It's a dangerous mix.
When we act complicit when a government murders people on the streets of our major cities, when we don't say anything, when oligarchs take over the media and control how we can produce it and consume it.
Now, if these actors cared even a little about free speech and artistic integrity, they would say something about the real McCarthyism that exists in Hollywood, where if you admit that you're anything other than hard left, you're pretty much blacklisted and often driven completely out of the industry. But the Hollywood hypocrites are all on board with that. It's been too long since we checked in on former MSNBC host Joy Reid, a thoroughly awful media personality with the sort of opinions that are so crazy that you wonder whether she's serious about them. Here she compares the brutal, backward Islamist regime in Iran to the US. Apparently, women in both countries have it bad.
Now, I'm not saying that that regime is not bad. But by the way, our regime is not good. Our regime has secret police. They have secret police. Our regime is oppressing women, taking away abortion rights, taking away women's rights in like 26 states.
You know, sometimes comments are so profoundly stupid that they really do not deserve a response. And that's an example. What a hideous thing to say. But Joy wasn't done minimising the plight of genuinely oppressed women living under Islamist rule. She's now going to praise Iran.
They have the highest rate of women who are in STEM careers. We're kicking women out of the military, out of university. We're saying that DEI means women can't be hired for high positions in the sciences. So we're marginally better, and we're doing it for Christianity. They're doing it for Islam, right?
You know, it should be illegal to be that stupid. Now to a special message from a trans activist who seems rather agitated.
I promised that I wouldn't do any more call-out posts, but I need to do this, okay? Hey, transphobe, I'm calling you out. You ready for this, transphobe? Okay, deal with this. What you're doing is wrong, and we're going to find you, okay? We're going to find you. So this is a call-out post to Linear Time. Linear Time, stop being so transphobic. Give trans girls the ability to go back in time and make up for pretending to be a boy for too long, okay? Linear Time.
Okay, I have to include a little local content in tonight's edition. Here is the mad rantings of a Greens MP, so you know it's going to be good. Here is Senator Nick McKim emoting wildly about Australia's support of the US and its campaign against the Iranian regime.
I mean, aren't you embarrassed? This is the guy you've hitched us to at the hip. I mean, he is a fascist, war criminal, fantasist. And you have hitched our country at the hip to him through AUKUS, through your obsequious toadying of the war criminals Trump and Netanyahu and their illegal war. It is humiliating, it's embarrassing, and it's degrading for our country.
Humiliating, embarrassing and degrading would be a grown man having a tantrum in the Australian Senate using the sort of language you'd expect from a not particularly bright first-year arts student. Okay, to CNN now, where anchor Abby Phillip made this incredible claim about an Islamist terror attack in New York City.
Two Republicans say Muslims don't belong here after an attempted terror attack against New York's Mayor Zohran Mamdani, and the House Speaker Mike Johnson says nothing really to condemn those comments.
Say what now? The Islamists were targeting the Muslim mayor, really? And she somehow found a way to make the whole thing about slamming Republicans. But even by CNN's low standards, that lie was too much, and Abby was forced to issue this apology.
This morning, I issued a correction first thing in the morning on X for a mistake that I made in last night's show, but I also wanted to do so on air as well. I incorrectly said that the bombs that were thrown by ISIS-inspired suspects in New York over the weekend were directed at Mayor Mamdani. They were not.
Now, I keep telling you that TDS, Trump Derangement Syndrome, is real. It's a real sickness that impacts cognitive function. How else do you explain this?
Who do you have more in common with, a Trump supporter or a radical Islamist?
Radical Islamist.
You saw someone wearing one of those red hats chanting "Make America Great Again," or you saw someone shouting "Allahu Akbar" running down the breezeway here. Who would you feel more safe with?
The one shouting "Allahu Akbar." Yeah.
You would support the radical Islamists.
Yeah.
What is it about Trump supporters that you don't think you'd get along with them so well?
I'm gay.
But you would get along with a radical Islamist?
Yes.
And you're gay?
Yes.
These people are real and they vote. Their vote counts as much as yours. A gay woman who identifies more with Islamists than MAGA, Now, to be clear for any simpletons watching, radical Islam has zero tolerance for homosexuality. In fact, homosexuality is considered a crime and one punishable by death in a number of Islamist countries under Sharia law. But let's hear more craziness from the modern left, who fear people who want to make America great again more than those who want to literally kill them.
What is a bigger threat to America today, radical Islam or Trump supporters?
Trump supporters. I'll say Trump.
Trump supporters in MAGA.
Yeah.
I would say Trump supporters in MAGA. I would have to go with the Trump supporters.
Trump supporters in MAGA.
Trump supporters in MAGA.
I'd say MAGA.
But we should be able to allow people to be who they are.
Yeah. Even if they're a radical Islamist.
Yes. There's no right to judge them.
And what I'm about to show you is, I've got to say, a little bit sad. I know we have a laugh on this segment, but sometimes the dysfunction, the hate, the cowardice of the modern left is, well, a little depressing. Even a leftist as blessed as Hollywood actor Jerry O'Connell, good-looking, rich, successful, but utterly divorced from reality. First, let's look at him establish his Democrat credentials.
I went to a Kamala Harris rally. My wife and I donated to the campaign. Oof. And Megan Thee Stallion played. And that was pretty epic, Bill, if you were there. I mean, it really invigorated, like, excitement, you know?
Really invigorated the people who were already going to vote for her anyway. That's who invigorated.
Now, I'm about to show you the sad part. This rich, attractive, successful dude has failed as a man. His own family, his wife and daughters physically attacked him on election night for not being sufficiently pro-Kamala. Watch how terrified he is at the prospect of speaking his mind. He's self-censoring and being so pitifully weak that even fellow lefty Bill Maher has to have a go at him.
And I'll be honest with you, I didn't think Trump was going to win. I live in California. I didn't think he was going to win. From what I was hearing.
I didn't either.
I think he was going to win.
No,
this is where I live, you know?
Yeah.
I said something along the lines of, like, there was no planning, this is what they get, there should have been a primary. I said something along those lines, you know? Like, I was just spitballing ideas as to, it was a shock, you know? My wife and daughters, without saying anything, became physical with me. They were filled with rage. So if I am being careful with you in how I say things, yes, I live in California. I live with not one, not two, but three people who, if I made any kind of joke, they would, they'd become very angry with me, you know? I don't want to tell you how to live your life, but I couldn't live that way. I would, whatever household or whatever situation I'm in, I say what I truly think, and if it makes you angry, I'm sorry, we'll have to work that out. Well, it makes... But I am not going to tuck my tail between my legs and just shut the up. This is what you were dealing with when you were a child. Just sit there and don't say anything.
Just pitiful. Weak. Now, let's check in on an awful, that's an affluent white female leftist who has delusions of victimhood.
I have less rights than I did when he became president. And I shouldn't have less rights than I used to. I shouldn't have different rights than my husband has in 50 states. I shouldn't have to provide a plethora of other documentation to get an ID because I got married, because I've changed my name. It's just chipping away at us little by little until we don't realize we're all cooked.
There you have it. Republicans have it in for marriage now, apparently. They're coming for married women. Yeah, right. Now, this is the opposite of an awful. Here we have a brave, principled, logical British woman, Connie Shaw, who clearly has endless reserves of patience. Watch this. She tries and tries again to get some sense from a trans activist holding a union banner.
Do you support a woman if she was going through the fact that she'd been assaulted in a single-sex space by a male person? So, no, you wouldn't help a woman who was a member of your union if she had been raped in a single-sex space for women by a man.
Trans women are women.
Even if they rape other women?
Trans women are women.
Even rapists?
Women commit crimes.
But
Trans women are women.
Was Isla Bryson a woman?
Trans women are women.
What makes them women?
Trans women are women.
And you've got no explanation for what makes them women?
Is it in the word? Is it in the name?
Well, I'm looking for a definition, not a circular argument.
Trans women are women.
Do you see how that's a circular definition? Would you like to explain why trans women are women?
That's all they have. Projection, empty words and circular arguments. Watch now as this coward has other activists come in to physically obstruct Connie Shaw from asking any more uncomfortable questions.
Trans rights are human rights.
What about women's rights to single-sex spaces?
Trans rights are human rights.
So you don't believe that women have the right to get unchanged away from the presence of men?
Now to a man who should be awarded the Pulitzer Prize, if media awards actually meant anything these days. Here is Nick Shirley, who blew apart the depths of fraud in Minnesota, concentrated in the Somali community. Well, Nick Shirley's in LA now, and the scale of the fraud there is even worse. What he saw in LA is incredible. Here he is at what looks like a former motel, which is allegedly running 30 fake hospice businesses.
We have Angels of Valley Hospice. We have Angels of Haven, Angels of Peace, Light of Angels. Yet the BMWs, one right here, one right there, 2 brand new Mercedes over there. It just is unbelievable, the amount of money that these people are making, and they're not even trying to hide it.
And while in Minnesota we had fake daycare centres that had no children enrolled, in LA he found children in daycare centres, but there were no adults around.
Talk to the adult.
He's not here.
Not here.
Yeah.
So you guys all by yourself?
Yeah. Knock on the door.
No one's here.
No one is here. No one is not here.
Okay, so you guys are all by yourself?
Okay. I can see by myself.
Yeah, okay, that's concerning.